call to order the meeting of the Transportation Committee of the McLean County Board, and let the record show that all members except Vice Chairman Martin and Shana Washinsky are present, and we have a quorum. We have the minutes of the August 18, 2020 special meeting. What is your good pleasure? Moved by Member Johnston, seconded by Member Friedrich, that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of August 18, 2020. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
We have to do roll call, sir.
You want a roll call?
I think I have to.
All right.
And are we doing both sets of minutes so that we only do one roll call, or are we doing just the August 18th?
All right, call the roll then.
Oh, we don't.
Hang on.
There,
Was Samantha coming out?
Go ahead and call the roll, Julie.
All right. Member Johnston.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Thompson.
Yes.
Member Friedrich.
Yes.
Chairman Casely.
Yes. All right, the ayes have it. We'll go on to the approval of the minutes from the September 1st, 2020 regular meeting of the Transportation Committee. What is your good pleasure on that? Moved by Member Friedrich, seconded by Member Smith. All right, Julie, if you'll call the roll.
Sure. Member Johnston.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Thompson.
Yes.
Member Friedrich.
Yes.
Chairman Casely.
Yes. All right, now we have bills, and we have a letter from Michelle Anderson stating that all of the bills appear to be in order and that they have been prepaid. What is your good pleasure on this? Moved by Member Smith, seconded by Member Friedrich, that we approve the payment of the bills. Call the roll, please.
Member Johnston.
Yes.
Member Smith.
Yes.
Member Thompson.
Yes.
Member Friedrich.
Yes.
Chairman Casely.
Yes.
That passes.
All right, it doesn't appear to me that we have any members of the public have any registered their attendance.
They have not, Chairman Casely. This is Camille.
All right, thank you, Camille.
You're welcome.
All right, we have a request from the Cheney's Grove Township Highway Commissioner for approval of a bridge on Comanche Road. And there are two arch-shaped 41-inch openings now, and they want to install two 48-inch arch culverts. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Is this being proposed because the 41-inch arch culverts are insufficiently sized, or is this because they are worn out?
They are rusted out, so they've come to their useful life.
All right. Are there any questions? Is there a motion? Moved by Member Thompson, seconded by Member Smith. Discussion? All right. Call the roll, please.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Thompson,
Yes.
Member Friedrich,
Yes.
Chairman Kaisley.
Yeah. All right, we'll go on to budgetary matters. And if it-
Chairman Kaisley, this is Camille. May I address you just briefly?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. It has been working quite well in other committees when we actually read off the requested action item and do motions, but then sort of join together all of the sub departments or the sub funds so that we don't have to roll call vote each and every item under the transportation or the highway department's budget. So if it pleases you and the committee, we just would highly recommend that. And then if there is an issue with any one of the fund accounts there, we could always pull it out. Yeah, I'm seeing good thumbs up on that. Okay, it's much more efficient. Thank you, Chairman, for letting me approach.
Does anybody have any objection to the approach that Camille has suggested? There being none seen, we will go ahead then with item 2A, which is the highway fund.
Can you read the whole line, Judge? The request approval.
I'll make
Do
a
you want me
motion.
to read it all into the record? And
I make a motion that we combine items 5A, 2, A, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Member Friedrich and seconded by Member Johnston that we do that. Is there any objection to that? All in favor, say aye. All right, it appears everybody is in favor. So the motion is approved. We'll go ahead then with that. And Jerry, do you want to comment about these things?
Yeah, I got a presentation for the committee today.
Very well.
Excuse me, do we need a roll call? In order?
I believe he was just asking if everyone was okay if we combined it.
Yes, if I may, or I can have a state's attorney approach, but we are just really taking a motion and a second to enter into discussion about items 5, 2A through E. So if we may proceed that way. State's attorneys, is that okay? Yes, yes. So let's proceed with Mr. Stokes's presentation on the budget items he is bringing forward to the committee today.
All right. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, so this is the 2021 Highway Department budget. This picture here is Tawanda East that was just completed last week with the rumble strips and paved shoulders and that, so it turned out really well. So we'll start getting into the budget side of this. So the first fund is the Highway Fund 120, and this is our general operating fund where where 65% of the revenue comes from property tax, and then the remaining revenue comes from the commodities that we sell to townships, and that includes pipe and signs, salt and posts that we kind of order in bulk, and then they kind of let us know sometimes what they want to hit before the season, and we order it for them. Or sometimes just throughout the year where they need a pipe ordered, and we do that as well. The engineering services to townships, that actually was increased, and that's due to the MFT being increased on the township side with the transportation renewal fund that happened last year. So they'll be doing more work, and we charge a percentage of our engineering to the townships. And then the equipment rental reimbursement for the motor fuel tax. So we use part of our money, motor fuel tax money, to reimburse our highway equipment rental for snow plowing, mowing, painting, and that type of thing. So I actually increased that since our MFT was increasing. I increased that amount as well. And then the remaining revenue comes from our permit fees, which is our overweight and work permit fees that we have. And sometimes if we have a wind farm agreement or something, some of those fees would go in there. And then the remaining is fund balance. So the tax rate still stayed the same. It's actually maxed out. And with the EAV increase, it was a $43,000 increase on the revenue from the property tax. So diving into some of the expenses, the salaries and fringe benefits that shows the increases that we have proposed across the boards. We are making an FTE change as far as the classification goes. We did our highway operations officer just retired. He'd been there 22 years, and so he just retired last week. And so we're going to reclassify that position to a civil engineer 2 position and try to get more of a technical background in our office. We do have a civil engineer 1 that's currently open as well. So we'll hopefully try to be able to fill those. And we also reclassified the assistant county engineer because he's going to be taking on more of the role from the highway operations officer as we go along here in 2021. So some of the line items that kind of more of the highlights, I guess you could say. So the gas and oil, I did drop that by about 10, 12,000. And that just kind of reflects the prices that we're seeing at the pump today, and kind of based on the usage. It's hard to I guess forecast out what the fuel is going to do and the prices, and it depends on how bad a winter that we're going to have and that type of thing. So I felt comfortable that we could lower just based on our current prices. And then the group purchasing, this was increased. And the reason I increased it was the salt prices for 2020 increased by like 2.5 times what they were in 2019. Just last week, I actually received the salt prices for 2021, or 2020-21 winter, and they were actually down significantly. In 2020, we were paying $116 a ton, and for 2021, it's all the way back down to $39.75 a ton. So that's really significant. And for the highway department on salt, it more comes out of our MFT maintenance line item. So that'll be a good cushion to have in the MFT side. The next one for the 700 line items, we have the engineering design expenses, and most of this engineering work is related to the Blooming Grove wind farm that is currently being constructed, and this kind of takes some of the engineering to for a project we're doing in 2022, and then a project that we're hopefully doing next year. Most of this is for the Meadows Road that it's currently under design by a consulting firm, and so we're looking at going into that, and then we're also going to reconstruct a curve on Lexington East that the wind farm had used, and I thought this would be a good time to take care of that when we go to put the road back next year. There was an increase in the equipment rental, and we this in 2020 we resurfaced the Colfax Weston Road, and the millings from that road were piled at the Weston curves, and so we're going to need to probably use those for shoulders. So we're going to need to rent a screener to kind of run those through that and kind of get the gradation down a little bit from where it's at. And then the gas services, that's kind of a little bit of an anomaly this year. We had an IDOT audit a couple of years ago, and and we didn't really. So part of we have 4 buildings out there at the highway department, and we're allowed to pay for the gas service in our sign shop. And so, but we actually heat 4 buildings out there, and so we needed to kind of spread it out amongst the 4 buildings instead of just the 3. So that's why there's an increase in the highway fund, but it'll be dropped down on the MFT side. So then moving on to the capital assets. So this is some of the construction work that we have from the wind farm that we have planned for 2021, and then also the right-of-way plat development that we have for the Meadows Road that's going to be constructed in 2022. So they're currently working on that stuff now, but it's going to kind of hold over into 21 as we move along with trying to acquire the right-of-way. And then the capitalized assets that we're looking at is a couple of more tandem trucks, a hi-ho, and then a sign truck with a remote crane. And you kind of can see up in the right-hand corner there's a sign truck, and this. So this is we use this truck on a daily basis, but it doesn't have a remote control crane. And originally in the 2020 budget, we were going to just replace the crane with a remote crane, but this truck's got like 110,000 miles on it, and it's an international, and so it's one of those ones we've kind of had the same year that we've had problems with, so we decided that it'd be good just to get a whole new unit, and then as well as a remote crane on this as we move forward. And then this is just some of the other items that we're looking at on the equipment side. And I did send an email with our equipment list on some of the remaining equipment that we were looking at. So we'll move on to the bridge fund. And
First of all, maybe we could ask if anybody has any questions about the road and bridge construction.
sure, yeah, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything out for the highway fund.
So I have a quick question. I just noticed that for next year, the budget's significantly down on the bridge and culvert roads. Is that something because we just don't have as many projects going for those?
On the 810.
So, to read it back.
Yes. Okay. So that was So yeah, it was significantly down because of in 2019 when they were constructing the EDP wind farm, we received all that money up front, and so that money all went into that account. We already put it in our construction account, and so we already had it for 2020 expenditures. when we move forward with the Blooming Grove, we don't have that money yet. So I'm gonna probably have to do a budget amendment at that time when we receive the money. But it's more gonna be based on the contract costs. And so it's kind of hard to forecast what that's actually gonna be.
So that just answers why it was such a big drop. is that
Yes.
It was extra money that came in.
Yes.
from the fund. Okay, thank you.
Any other
Further
questions?
Does
Okay.
anyone else have any questions? All right, we'll go on then to the next fund.
So this is the bridge fund, 121. And so we use this fund for all the drainage items related to county bridges or culverts and any like maintenance related to culverts or bridges. And most of this revenue comes from the general property tax. We do use this, our bridge fund. So we pay for 10% of the township bridges, and actually that's incorrect. No, it is 10% for the township bridges, and then 10% for the townships pay the 10%, and then the remaining comes from the township bridge program, which is administered by the state. And then we also pay for 50% of joint culverts that we kind of similar to what we approved it with Cheney's Grove there. And then so the remaining revenue comes, so we get the reimbursement from the townships and the township bridge funds for the bridges and culverts, and then the fund balance.
What is
So-
the unclassified revenue? Are these pennies from heaven?
Kind of. Actually, that's just kind of if we're something that's kind of an oddball that doesn't fall into a category. We really don't have too much of it, really, when it comes down to it. But it'd just be kind of a random thing that would be for the bridge fund.
All right, thank you.
So then the tax rate for 2021 is 0.425, and which amounts to a $24,000 increase. That was the same rate as last year, so it's just the EAV increase. The additional revenue that we're expecting in 2021 will be around 600,000, a little less than that, and that'll be coming from the township joint culverts and then the township bridge fund. And in 2020, we did not do a township bridge. We did a township bridge, but not out of this fund. And so we had to kind of save up some money because the bridge we're looking at next year is the Tackett Bridge in Empire Township. And it's probably about a $600,000 structure. So TVP will pay 80%, and then we'll be responsible for 10%. And so we'll get reimbursement from TVP and the township for that project, and then any additional joint culverts that we have in 2021.
Could you explain for the committee what the administrative surcharge is?
Sure. So that's something that the administration they take that payment out for kind of administering the funds, and basically it's for kind of the auditor and treasurer's office that process the paperwork to pay the bills out of those types of funds.
This is an internal transaction in order to take some of the pressure off the general fund, and it was conceived by former County Administrator Zunick and continued under former Administrator Lindbergh and since then. So that's what that item is. It takes a little bit of pressure off the general fund, which is a cap fund.
Yes, it kind of covers the administrative side or the paperwork side from the treasurers, auditors, or state's attorneys, and it actually comes out of the highway fund, the bridge fund, and the matching fund.
Are there any questions about that? Very well, we'll go ahead.
So on the 700, 800 line items, the 716 engineering, that's just to get started for projects that we're looking at in 2022. It seems like we have to start these projects about a year in advance to get through all the IDOT approvals and environmental approvals and that. So that's why that stayed there. And so we typically do one county bridge and one township bridge at least every year. So we'll keep on that pace as we move forward. And then on the 800 line item for the construction, or 810 for the construction of the bridges, that's the construction work that we had planned for 2021. We got a decent sized bridge on the Stringtown Road that we're looking at for 21. So any questions on the bridge fund? Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So we'll move on to the matching fund. And this fund is it matches the federal and motor fuel tax projects that we do. So when we're using STR or HSIP money, that all comes out of a lot of times we'll use the matching fund to match those federal and motor fuel tax projects. And so this fund can only be used for construction, engineering, or right-of-way. So as you can tell, that most of it just goes right into construction and maybe a little bit out of engineering and right-of-way, but most of those kind of can get done through MFT. And so there was a $22,000 increase in the revenue based on the EAV with the current tax rate at 0.0375. And like I said, the expenses are really strictly on construction for the roads, bridges, and culverts. And in 2021, we're looking at about 1.8 million to spend on the construction of the roads. Any questions on the matching fund? Okay, so we'll move on to the last fund with the motor fuel tax fund. So this is this, like I said, can be used on maintenance, engineering, and construction. We do a lot of our oil and ship work out of this fund. A lot of our commodities, our paint, salt, comes out of this. As we go throughout the year, a lot of aggregate that we use for shoulders, and we use a lot of it for engineering here in 2020. I think we got it. Last year we did a big engineering contract through here for Sanoa, and then kind of a lot of the remaining ends up being out of construction depending on what our program is. So this revenue comes from the monthly allotments and the county consolidated program. So in 2020, the projection of the allotments that I did was, based on the end of the year 2019. And so I was around like $320,000 a month that we got from the MFT and the MFT renewal. We've probably seen a 10% reduction in what our allotments are actually coming in at. And, it's kind of across the board. I think a lot of it's COVID related, but we're also seeing a little bit of an increase before COVID even hit. So I don't know exactly why that is, but I had adjusted that amount for next year. But and then we also have funds from the Rebuild Illinois bond funds, and that's approximately $6 million, and that's going to be $2 million per year for the next 3 years. And so, so I'm using that. They want to use that on like particular projects that are more reconstruction type projects. So when we get into the 5-year plan, I can kind of show where that's at. But so then going back to the allotments there that I mentioned. So like I said, I was looking at our average allotment that we're looking at for 2020 has been 290,000. So I was playing a little conservative for next year and dropped that down to 285,000 a month. And correlating that with our the county consolidated is a discretionary fund through IDOT. And so here's the beginning of the fiscal year 2020, the state actually cut that 75%, and because they were going to need money, and that was kind of before all the capital bills were passed. Well, in the meantime, they've kind of made that program whole, so we have received all our FY20 allotment, but it's one of those funds that can be, I guess, taken away at any given time if the state sees fit, because the MFT allotments are by statute, but this county consolidated is not. It's more of just a discretionary fund that IDOT controls as part of their budget process. And so then going on some of the expense sides, on the maintenance side for 716, this is kind of where I showed a little bit of increase here in this fund, and that was a lot of it was to do to increase on the maintenance work, increase our oil and chip work and our pavement preservation work, and then also as well as I was thinking that there's always a commodity increase or an increase on the commodity side for aggregate and paint and that. This is where we see a decrease on the salt price, and then anyway, the 800 line items. This is construction work. I said 2019, but it should be 2020. And then I did increase the right of way on the MFT side significantly because there is 43 parcels on the Meadows Road project that we're going to have to buy right of way for, and so that's going to be a significant cost. It's going to come out of the highway fund. So that includes the MFT fund. I'd like to thank all the administration and Luke for helping on the 2021 budget, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. I did send you guys the 5-year plan and map and the unfunded project list, and so I kind of marked on there where we're planning on using the Rebuild Illinois funds on a couple of those projects, and the first project we're going to use it on is the 2022 for the rebuild and reconstruction of the Meadows Road. And that's a project that it's going to be using some of the Golden Grove Wind Farm money, some of the county money, and then this Rebuild Illinois funds. But as you can see, we're trying to have a really good year for 2021 as well, kind of similar to what we had in 2020. Some of this is wind farm work related, and so we'll be working on that this winter.
Jerry, and on the 2020 allotments to 2021, it looks like we took a $400,000 hit. Is that based upon motor fuel tax usage? It's down.
Well, I don't think we've taken. Well, I guess that it probably would be projecting throughout the year. I mean, we haven't got all the allotments yet because that. We're down in 2020, but we still got a couple months to go to get more allotments. So, I mean, we are probably going to be down, I'd say 300,000, 350,000. That's, mainly probably due to COVID. That's 10% reduction in the MFT side.
Is this based on projections from the IDOT or from the Department of Revenue?
Well, it's just the projections I have are based on just what kind of allotments we were seeing here in 2020. The original budget that we had for 2020 was based on 2019 allotments, and so we just have seen everything. It's just been a 10% increase throughout 2020.
Okay. Does anybody have questions about the 2021 budget proposal? All right, is there a motion? Motion by member Thompson, seconded by member Johnston. Discussion? All right, all in favor, signify aye.
I have to
Roll
roll call.
All right, very well, we'll have a roll call.
Member Johnston,
Yes.
member Smith,
Yes.
member Thompson,
Yes.
and it looks like member Friedrich had to leave. So member Kaisley or Chairman Kaisley,
Yes,
thank you.
it is carried, so we are going to be recommending the adoption of this budget for 2021. Then we've got the 5-year capital budget. And Jerry, I'll let you go ahead and tell us about that. Can you tell us what the criteria is for getting on the 5-year capital budget? Is it based on the condition of the highways and bridges, or is it based upon usage of the highways, or both?
It's a combination of both. Luke and I, we go out and run our county highways every year in the spring, and we rate them. And so we look at the ratings, and we also look at how much traffic is on those particular roads, and then also look at, the age of when the last time it was resurfaced. And so we kind of look at that and see what, do the worst projects, but also sometimes, there's, depending on the funding sources and what projects it's going to work in what particular year is kind of how we base our decisions on.
You put a counter out there on the county highways?
We do. We don't. I mean, we do when we get into more of the design process. The state goes around every 5 years, and actually they started doing that here in 2020, where they go around and do all our county highways, and so then that's all in one place, and we kind of use that as a starting point, and then once we move into design, then we actually get current counts.
Okay. And further questions from anybody? All right, I'll let you go ahead and explain then the items on the capital budget, starting with 2021.
So most of these projects in 2021 are resurfacing projects that we have planned. The Linden Street project, that's going to be similar to Towanda East. We received highway safety funds for this project, so we're going to put safety shoulders on this and rumble strips going from Northtown Road to Hudson. And so that's one project. Another project, and we're using also federal funds, the Surface Transportation Rural Funds for that project. Then we have another project on Rock Road where we're going to be using Surface Transportation Urban Funds. And we also received TARP funds for that project. And so that project there is really going to only cost the county about $50,000, probably by the time it's all said and done, or so. By the time we'll still have to do our estimates and final design on it. But that's going to be Rock Road. And then the rest of them are just major resurfacing projects. We are doing joint projects with Livingston County on the Cropsey Road. They're resurfacing their whole road from basically the county line all the way to Fairbury, which is like 7-8 miles. And so we're kind of piggybacking off of them. That's another project that received TARP funds. And then we got a couple of bridge projects. One's going to be a bridge deck overlay, and then like the Stringtown Road Bridge that I mentioned earlier. And then the remaining 3 projects on the list are wind farm related. And so we're going to do a CIR with an oil and chip on Lexington East, and then a couple other resurfacing projects. This wind farm's it's big, so we actually have to we had to push some projects out to 2022 just because we don't have enough get our other work, all our other work done with the funding that we have and do the wind farm is going to be tough to do all in 1 year. So we're actually splitting those two projects, a lot of the wind farm work out in between 21 and 22. But anyway, that's kind of the 2021 program.
And if I may, Mr. Stokes and Chairman Kaisley, I do believe respectfully that we did include item E in our last vote. So unless the committee has any issues with that particular decision, that last update from Mr. Stokes was really informational because we've already voted on it.
Thank you. All right, we want to go on to, well, does anybody have any questions or comments about the 2021 capital budget? All right, we'll go on to 2022, which starts at page 60 of the capital budget.
So I don't know if I'm gonna go through each project, but this is where we're, the Meadows Road that I mentioned earlier with the Rebuild Illinois funds, that this will be done in 2022. So we're working on the design for that now. We're gonna start probably the first of the year buying right away and completing the design, and any of the utility relocates that we need to do will happen in 21. And then just a lot of remaining resurfacing projects that we have. You know, as these projects get closer, we'll probably be looking at TARP funds and safety funds for these as we move forward. And then, like I said, some additional wind farm projects on this as well. So just, you know, and this is also kind of subject to change, but that's kind of what we're programming for the 2022.
Which ones are the wind farm?
It's the bottom three, it'd be County Highway 8, PJ Keller.
Okay.
County Highway 19, Chenoa Road, and then the County Highway 23 and the Meadows Road. There'd be actually two sections. And then kind of the remaining projects.
With respect to the White Oak Road, this is the cold in place recycling and milling, and it was my understanding that White Oak Road was a concrete highway. Is that not true?
It is concrete highway. The White Oak Road is a concrete highway underneath there, yes. We haven't decided exactly what we're going to do on that road yet. We talked about CIR. Actually, I think I have it listed here as mill and resurface. Or maybe
Is that on a concrete highway?
yes.
Okay.
But we are looking at trying to do maybe a cold in place recycling on that, because it allows more of a flexible. Okay. It allows more of a flexible layer in there to allow that pavement to move, and so that, but we still have a hot mix road over the top of that. So we haven't really dived into the details of that. It's just kind of something we've thrown out there. With that concrete road underneath there, like you mentioned, there is some patching underneath there, and those concrete cracks reflect up. And so if we had that cold in place recycle layer, it would hopefully prevent those cracks from coming up quicker than what they would already do with just a straight overlay. But so we're just kind of looking into that right now. We don't really know the details. It's an idea we threw out there.
All right. Any further questions about the 2022 capital budget? All right, going on then to 2023. You want to explain about that, Jerry?
Sure. So this is the more mill and resurfacing projects. based on kind of the age and where things are at, how long it's been since we touched those. And, cold in place recycling project in there as well, because there's certain roads that applies and more just on how significant the cracks are on those roads. And so that's where we're looking at using that particular operation. And so, I got one, at least a cold in place recycling in there, one a year for the whole plan. So, and some of these roads are, fairly old that haven't been touched. So we think it's a good product for those type of roads. And then the rest of it is just all mill and resurfacing projects in different areas.
The Lake Bloomington Spur is also a concrete highway, is it not?
It sounds like, I believe it is. I really don't know much about that road. We've done some pavement preservation to kind of make that last a little longer, so I don't really know for sure. But I think some of those roads that are called spurs were more concrete type roads.
Further questions from the committee? All right, we'll go on then to page
Member,
7.
Chairman Casely, I had a question.
Yes,
Or just had a quick, can you go over some of the bridge repairs that you're going to do in that year, or that you're thinking about doing for that $500,000?
Sure. So, so we did that latex bridge overlay this year on the Downs Road. So we might do some of that. There is a bridge on Lexington Leroy that is just south of Lexington that goes over the Mackinac. And I was actually looking at maybe doing a whole deck replacement. So it'll be actually more, it's a steel beam bridge. So we can take all the concrete off and then re-pour the concrete on that. So things like that. We got some other smaller repairs where some abutments are needing some work, but it's just kind of miscellaneous.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
all right, we'll go on then to 2024.
So, yeah, it's a more mill and resurfacing project. This is where I was going to use another $2 million of the Rebuild Illinois funds on the, this is the Pfeiffer Bridge on the Gridley Road, just north of PJ Keller. And it's a big bridge and it's tall. And so that's kind of the reason I was going to wait that's why we're going to do some of the repairs in 23 and save up enough money to do this project in 24, because it's going to be a $5 million project, probably one of the biggest bridge projects we've ever done. It's like a 360-foot long bridge. It's 5 spans, and so so that project is slated for 2024, and that might be something here in 21 that we start the design work, because it's going to take that long to get that completed. But the rest of that, we got a little bit Leroy in town, surfacing in town, and then just another cold in place recycling on the Stringtown Road, and then some other miscellaneous resurfacing. And this usually all changes, as we go through there and we look at the condition. Sometimes we'll move a road up from one year to the other, or if we got more funding based on prices or some other funding sources, TARP funds or safety funds or federal funds, then then that kind of changes things as well.
So the farther out you get, the more flexible you have to be.
Yes. And then kind of moving on to 2025, this is another Rebuild Illinois project in there, another $2 million. And I want to make sure we have all that money in place before it's actually spoken for, because the state could just say, we're not going to sell bonds, and we may not get that. But I know it's part of the governor's capital plan and that as he's going along here. So, for some reason they can't sell the bonds, then we wouldn't necessarily get that money. So I want to make sure we have the money in place before I actually allocate it to a project. But the road that we're looking at in 2025, using that is west side of Hudson. That's 2 miles of oil and chip that just needs to be reconstructed. And it's got bad drainage, bad ditches, and the pavement's kind of is falling apart a little bit. So any other questions on a 5-year plan?
Anybody has questions, now's the time. All right, how do you feel about the 5-year plan? You want to talk about that? Yes, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I just, I wanted to say, I've been out driving some of the county highways and there's a noticeable difference when we cross county lines. And it's kind of a point of pride for McLean County to have such good roads. And so I know that you put a lot of thought and effort into the 5-year plan that you put together. And I really appreciate everything that you do to keep the roads safe.
Other questions or comments? Oh, wait a minute. I guess we have to have a roll call. Go ahead.
They've already been out.
I think this was already approved in the original motion.
Okay. Very well.
The project somewhere.
Are there other matters that we need to take up before we go to information? Very well, we'll go on then to items presented for information. Does anybody have any questions about the positions filled? None of them are under the purview of the Transportation Committee this month. Any questions about that? All right, we'll go on to project summaries.
Okay. So we have some pictures here. This is the Chenoa Road project. So this is coming along really good. They've the contractor Stark Excavating, they've finished all the concrete work, and so we're getting ready for the hot mix, and that's supposed to be started on the 12th, so next week. And so they'll get all the hot mix done, and so that project will be wrapping up fairly quick. So I'll go through some of the project. This is kind of the curb and gutter sections in here that we did. I don't know if you remember what it looked like before, but it was in pretty bad shape. So curb and gutter, new sidewalk, ramps, and everything. And just another picture, some more pictures here, and where they're putting the black dirt in, and that. This is Ron Smith Highway. This project's been completed as well, and this is where we lined it out. It turned out good. We are going to be going over on this project as far as what the bid price was, because we had to do a lot of patching on the north section of the project where we got some rain and then the base got soft. So in the widening areas, we had to dig those out and put additional hot mix in there. So we're probably looking at about an $80,000 overage on this project because of that. So there's a couple more projects there of Ron Smith. This is where we widen the road out 3 foot on each side, and we got to put the white stripe here. This project is the part culvert on Pipeline Road, and so this is when they were setting the culverts, and so they had to bring in a big crane in to set the culverts, and so this is how they hook the culverts. So these are 12x7 boxes that they are putting together, and so they're lifting those up, and so they had to bring this crane in, and then they kind of put them there, and then you can see they got mastic in there with the joints, and they put that in there. Here's a picture of when it was when all of them were completed and installed, and so there's another picture of that. at the ends. We're waiting on a couple the end sections of the boxes. Those haven't came in yet. Hopefully sometime this week. This is the east end of it, and where they started. They went in. They put an apron in on the floor, and then then you can see on that, and there in the middle picture, they'll have wings coming off of that side on both sides with head walls, and they poured those last week as well. And then that's just kind of a picture of the apron. And here's a couple more pictures that were Tawanda East, kind of related to the budget side of that, with that road and then the rumble strips and everything. So that project turned out really good. I think the contractor got this done in like 3 or 4 weeks. And so this is a federal project that kind of IDOT administers. And so there were still some additional pay items that had to be included in that total cost, but it's broken out into, there's STR funds and HSIP funds. And so the STR fund pays 80% of that, and we have to match 20%. And then on the HSIP, and that's for the paved shoulders and rumble strips, that pays 90%, and we have to match 10%. And so it takes a little bit of a while for state to, once it goes through their process, then they'll send us a final invoice and for the county's portion of that. The county hasn't paid anything on that project as of yet. It's all been the state related to their funding. But that project's probably going to come in really close to bid, if not a little bit under, and on that. So, any questions on any of these projects?
Okay, so where are we getting money to pay for this box culvert out north of town, park culvert?
So that's coming out of our county bridge fund. So that was already appropriated and out of the bridge fund.
I thought this was an additional project that had to be done in connection with the improvement of the north-south highway.
No, this was just a regular a bridge structure that we had that had some problems with the extensions, and we wanted to fix the curve as we were doing it, but it really had nothing. It was just a project we had scheduled to do.
Okay. Further questions from the committee? Very well. The stormwater education report from the
So yeah, this is
Technology Action Center.
Yeah, so these are reports from the first and second quarter reports in 2020. The College Action Center doing the outreach for our MS4 permit, and so this kind of tells what they had been doing the last. And I'm sure they got hit with COVID as far as going into the schools and that at the end of the year, but hopefully they're going to pick some of that stuff back up when they get the chance.
All right, any questions from the committee about that? All right, now we have to decide what we're going to do about our November committee meeting. Do you want to go ahead on election day as scheduled, or do you want to reschedule it?
It's a holiday.
Chairman, we are required to close the buildings for this holiday, so it is our humble recommendation from county administration that we choose a date other than Tuesday, November 3rd. I might put Ms. Morlock on the spot. I know she and I were trying to brainstorm other days of that particular week wherein we could reschedule for the same time, but a different day perhaps. Ms. Morlock, would you have more to add?
I sent out with this packet 2 suggested dates of Monday, the 2nd, and Wednesday, the 4th at 8 a.m. I know that Mr. Martin, who knew he wasn't going to be here, replied and said he could do Monday the 2nd at 8 a.m., but not Wednesday. And I don't know what, I just kind of threw those out there when I sent the packet out in case people could think about it ahead of time. So then it's up to you guys.
If it is more efficient, I can have Ms. Morlock send out a poll so that you can properly consult your schedules. We could send that out this week. But I would be remiss if I didn't express, I don't know if we have to vote on a reschedule. I don't believe so, but I'm looking at my colleagues and I don't think we have to vote on it. We just have to have some consensus based on the fact that this was a new holiday that was not known at the time we voted on the existing committee schedule for 2020.
Well, I think that if the committee wants to, we can do it on the holiday. What is anybody to do about it if we do meet on the regular day?
Chairman, then that means that I have to require my staff to work on a holiday. And then I would have to open the building and I would be working directly against the order from the governor, which said that all government buildings will be closed on election day. So I apologize for interrupting. I thought you were done, so. I would have to require a lot of people to work that day. We would have our IT folks that stream the meetings, Ms. Morlock, myself, any other staff. And so that would work kind of against the governor's order to have all of the buildings closed. So I understand it's a burden to reschedule, but I also know that it's we're trying to follow the order as it stands to keep the building closed.
All right, how do you feel about it, committee? Mr. Thompson?
I can do either day, set a date, let's do it. Just pick a date.
Thank you.
All right, how about Monday?
Great. It sounds like it will be Monday, the 2nd at 8 a.m.
Yes.
I'll have Ms. Morlock and I send out extra reminders. I know Monday morning meetings are sometimes hard to remember, so we will make sure that we gently remind everyone of the time. And then also you'll get your packets in sufficient time as well in the week preceding. So thank you to everyone for your flexibility on that. We appreciate it.
All right. Is there any further business that we need to take up? We are adjourned then. Thank you.